There's something that's been on my mind for a long time, and it has to do with one of the Espada, STARRK. And that question is, was he truly alone his whole life? Of course, we do see that he does have his comrade, Lily-Net, that he created himself so that he couldn't feel alone. But why was this feeling of solitude surrounding himself his whole life? Was it physically being alone? Of course, anime and manga viewers who sympathize with STARRK's pain knows it goes deeper than his physical loneliness. But why? Why is it that even though he does have Lily-Net by his side, he still feels alone? In this video, I want us to go over the strongest Espada, STARRK, and of course, the depths of his loneliness, and how us, the viewers, can relate to the feeling of not only physical loneliness, but mentally, and what the source of solitude truly is. Before we get into today's video, I'm going to ask you guys to like the video and subscribe if you're new. However, even just liking the video is greatly appreciated. With that out the way, let's get straight into the video. COYOTE STARRK is the #1 Espada out of Sosuke Aizen's army, with his comrade being Lily-Net. He's one of the popular Arrancar in the entire series. His personality is one that upfront should be obvious. He's a lazy man, one that when we do see him in the beginning, has no ambition whatsoever. Unlike the other Espada, he sees no reason to battle or to be hostile towards others, and the only reason he does choose to do so is under Aizen's expectations and commands of him. He has no type of motivation, however, he does still become moved when his comrades do cease around him. For example, Baragon. When in his fight with Shunsui, he states that not a single word was spared for Baragon. He felt that Baragon died a lonely death, one that wasn't given any acknowledgement from not only the Soul Reapers, but Aizen and his comrades as well. When he does notice this, he's moved to fight and avenge Baragon, even though he does state that he isn't the type to seek revenge from others. The most important parts of STARRK's story is with his fight with Shunsui, as well as his past and the roots of his lack of motivation. No violent intent, no money, no hoes. In his fight with Shunsui, we obviously can see the parallel in between each personality. They both don't want to fight, however, they know that they're both in a war and only one side wins in a war. With Lily-Net by STARRK's side, Shunsui asks him to discard his comrade because he can't fight with his full power with STARRK's comrade being there. The fight starts off awfully slow, for good reason of course, with both Shunsui and STARRK both not having any motivation to fight one another. Shunsui taunting STARRK, but he doesn't fall for the bait. Even though he is someone who is lazy, that doesn't take away from the intelligence that he does show during the battle. Calling out Shunsui's ambidextrousness, is that a word? Right? That's a word, right? Which after that, Shunsui does unsheath his other blade. After this exchange, we do get more information on STARRK and Lily-Net's relationship. STARRK reveals that he and Lily-Net are both one being, but separate, and upon both of them combining once again, their full power will be released, which does end up happening after he does explain that. After this, Ukitake joins the battle as well. Eventually, STARRK is basically defeated by Rose and Love. He states that he doesn't care anymore, that Aizen is gonna leave them all to die. Lily-Net remarks that Aizen made him #1 for a reason, which I'll get into that later. Lily-Net also tells them that if he doesn't fight, all his friends will die, which allows him to continue fighting and release his main attack, Los Lobos, which is his wolf pack. These wolves are fragments of his soul that basically blow up upon impact. After defeating Love and Rose, his main battle with Shunsui once again commences. He is defeated by Shunsui after telling him that he was never alone, and we get flashbacks of his history. STARRK in the past was a very strong Arrancar/Hollow. He was alone, and even just his spiritual pressure alone killed anyone that was around him. He became jealous because of all the weak Hollows were able to be joined in a pack while he was alone. Because of how strong he had become, because of this jealousy, he split himself into two, and Lily-Net was created, and they both sat in isolation for a very long time, promising to stick to each other until they eventually died. Eventually, Aizen approached the both of them. STARRK remarks to Aizen that he seemed strong, and Aizen was impressed by his ability to kill solely off of his spiritual pressure, and told him that he was searching for allies. STARRK remarks that it seems that they were both looking for the same thing. STARRK ends up joining Aizen to not only escape death, but to leave his own solitude behind. I'd love to note that I feel like Aizen shares a sense of relatability between him and STARRK. As STARRK was lonely because of being the strongest, and Aizen was as well, which of course led him to losing his battle with Ichigo in the Fake Karakura-tan arc. I think I can make that into a whole separate video, and if that's something you would like, then I can definitely create that. Just leave something in the comments below. So we do end up seeing Stark join Aizen and the Espada, just to become lazy, unmotivated, and still have that same feeling of dread, loneliness, and unrelatability from his other comrades. Well, why is that? Of course, there are multiple reasons behind this. Not only is it ironic that his number was 1, and 1, of course, a singular number, he was alone as one in the past, too strong to be near anybody. He was forced to be in isolation his whole life. Not only that, but because he was so strong, it would be hard for him to face to any foe that was on the same level as him, or someone who could relate to him and his strength, and even just his feelings of loneliness. Hence, he does split himself into two. Of course, Lily Net sharing a different part of Stark's personality that we don't see from himself. Of course, viewers and fans of Stark are more often than not someone who relates to Stark. They see his feelings of solitude and have this feeling in their chest that stings, as they know that feeling that Stark has. Physical loneliness is something that a lot of people face, and seeing that type of thing be brought to the forefront is a painful and realizing moment. As I stated in my Kenpachi video, it is lonely at the top, and Stark, of course, is not exempt from that saying. But besides from physical solitude from when he was a hollow, which is practically just being alone, what about the mental solitude that Stark faces throughout his whole lifespan, when he does end up becoming an Espada? This type of mental solitude is one that he faces when, coincidentally, he is met with his own physical loneliness, when he realizes not everyone has been through the same thing as him, when he realizes that he's not similar to anyone, and the only person that he felt he was similar to besides strength, Shunsui, tells him that they are not the same, and that he doesn't know him. It brings back those same feelings of loneliness which he does feel. He feels that none of those around him will be appreciated and avenged when he dies, which not only motivates him to keep fighting, but brings him to that epiphany once again that he is still lonely and nobody will avenge him either. Taking this into a real life perspective, what is the source of solitude that those around him feel in relation to Stark? And honestly, it's not that different at all. Most people feel this sense of loneliness and solitude when those around them haven't been through the same things that they've been through. Some people feel a sense of loneliness when they don't have the same mentality of those around them, when they don't seek the same future as others around them. I even feel this way myself. A lot of people just want to live a normal life when I seek entrepreneurship and a higher purpose within myself. This is just an example, and in your life, it may be a different situation. This combination of the lack of common interests as well as shared values and no emotional intimacy between others leads to this feeling of loneliness. Maybe you feel like you can't rely on others, the same way that Stark couldn't rely on Aizen to save him if he was brought to the brink of death. However, towards the end of his life, Stark realizes that he was never alone. Like the pack of wolves, his ability, Los Lobos, he was in a pack of wolves himself, the Espada. Even though he was stronger than the others, he was able to appreciate the presence of them and tell himself that even though they may have different values or different priorities, he's not alone. And he has others around him that he cares about, even if they don't care about him. You aren't either. You're not alone either, even if you feel like as though you are. There are people in this world who may be in your life or maybe just haven't met them yet that you can relate to. People who care about you, and from their sheer presence alone, you'll begin to care about them. Look around you and those who care about you. Cherish them, and in return, let yourself be cherished, for you are truly not alone. Thank you for watching the video. Of course, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to like and subscribe. All support is greatly appreciated, and I hope to see all of you in the next video.